Let's build up to a man who knows what it takes to go all the way. A very good morning to the 2009 Premier League winner and also won 11 PDC major titles. A very good morning, James Wade. James, morning.
Good morning, James.
Good morning, how are you? Nice
we're good, James. We're good, James. Really good, mate. Newcastle tonight. It's going to be rowdy, especially after them winning the Cup down at Wembley, and they'll have a night out as well. But can it be any rowdier than the World Championships down at Ali Pali?
Yeah, I think the Premier League it's the party place for the fans, you know, and they enjoy it, and they really do enjoy it. My personal experience over the 20 years that I've played, it's the Premier League nights. They are the liveliest ones you're playing, especially when you go. The further up north you go, the more partying they do.
But they're in order, not out of order, are they? Or is there one or two maybe have too many drinks?
There's always one or two, but there's one or two everywhere, isn't there? You know, you have to have one or two to make everyone else look good.
What about standard-wise now, James? Is this the highest it's ever been, do you think?
You know, people say it isn't. I think there's certain years that stick out, you know, where standards have been great. I don't think, as a whole, the top players are as good as it has been. I think certain players are as good as it has been. I think what the difference you've seen is the 16 outside of the top 16, how good they are now. I think that's the biggest movement for me has been the lower ranked players, how good they really are. And it never used to be like that. There used to be, you know, there was 3 or 4 players that could win a major, and then it went to like 4 or 5 other players that were pretty good, and then after that there wasn't a lot there. But now it's so far in depth, a good standard.
Just on that, James, I can't believe Stephen Bunton hasn't got a point. I can't believe that.
It wouldn't be the first time we've seen great players go into the Premier League and struggle and have a knock-on effect in their rankings later on afterwards. I can't believe it either. He's obviously, I would say, probably the first 3 or 4, it's not something I pay huge amounts of attention to other people's darts, but I would say probably the first 2 to 3 weeks it may have been unfortunate, and then he's got a little, I don't know. He's made himself too aware of he hasn't won a game, and he's put now the only reason why he hasn't won a game isn't because of his ability, it's because his own
pressure,
devils on his shoulder, on his shoulder. Yeah. And the longer it goes on without winning one, the harder it is. Again, how good Steve Bunton is and how good other players are. I mean, he's got Luke tonight in the opening, hasn't he, Luke Littler?
Yes, yeah. Ooh.
It also wouldn't surprise me if he beat him.
Yeah.
That might be the game that he needs to you know, he might be at a point now in the Premier League where he stops worrying about it so much and he just lets it happen. But I'm guessing again, I'm not a great follower of darts. I should imagine his other side of darts now outside of the Premier League's probably started to suffer a little bit because of losing in probably the biggest watched event apart from a couple of majors. I'm sure that's had a knock-on effect to his floor tournaments and his Europeans.
Yeah, James, I want to ask you, you criticised the 8-man lineup for this year's Premier League, and this were your quotes. I think 2 players that got in there were probably because they are part of something that's bigger than darts. Who are you talking about there, mate?
It wasn't a criticism, it was an opinion. Yeah. And I honestly think, I mean, there's a couple of reasons why one of them got in, and that'll be Nathan. Nathan's never, ever had a bad Premier League. He's always produced good darts. He's always been thereabouts. I think there's only one time where he's not finished inside the top 4. So, you know, do I think he should have been this year? No, I don't. But I know why they put him in. Because he's reliable and he's good at what he does, and the crowd do like him. I think probably there's another player that should have gone in his place, and the same again for Chris Dobey. I think there could have been other players, you know, to get rid of, to say both of those shouldn't have been in. Not shouldn't have been in. That's the wrong word. There was other options apart from those 2.
What should the criteria be to get in?
I just think someone that does. I think your rankings should really count. I think they should. There's a reason why someone's ranked inside the top 8 or the top 10, and I think rankings should be looked at a little bit more than they are, rather than rather than a business, it does get looked at as a business because it is. You know, you've got other players that aren't as popular. Let's put it that way. You know, Johnny Clayton, he should have been in it, in my opinion. Is he as popular as Nathan? Probably not. But you know, he's up there in the rankings. You know, he's tapped the number 4 spot as well. So,
as you say, it's not criticism; it's just an opinion.
No, it's not criticism; it's an opinion. You know, and you know, we saw it with other players over the years that have been constantly re-invited back to the event when they haven't even done the business when they've been in it, and they're also not doing the business in the other tournaments. So, is that right or is that wrong? I guess from a business point of view, it's the right decision because they're there to sell tickets and they're there to make the PDC money. But you know, is it on fair merit all the time? No, not at all.
James, tell us about this. Is great. Tell me about your fundraising event. Right, this is for Bipolar UK in August. You've got Gerwin Price, Chizzy, Michael Smith. Tell us a little bit about that, and can you explain just briefly Bipolar, what that is?
Oh, how long we got? And which James is describing it?
Is it a case of sometimes you're good and other times you're down? Is that the easiest way to sum it up?
If you want to put it as blunt as that, sometimes you're euphorically high and sometimes you're low. And the euphoric lows are as much as spending money you haven't got, doing silly decisions, making silly decisions where you can literally turn your own family against you, and as low as they are where you try committing suicide. That's as blunt with bipolar. That is as blunt as it can be. But there's a lot more involved. You know, there's different types of bipolar where you have more highs than lows, or sometimes more lows than highs, or a complete switch, top to bottom.
And where will this fundraiser? Where will the fundraiser be, James?
It will be in Old Thorns in which area would we call that? Where are we going for? Hampshire, yes.
Okay.
It's only down the road from me. It's on the border. So it'll be the 22nd of August. It's a black tie event. It's just a small thank you to people that have supported me and helped me. You know, Bipolar UK have really been there for me. You know, and they've stopped me from doing silly things at times, and you know they've done that for countless other people as well. It's a charity night, an event. Everyone's welcome as long as they pay for their tickets to raise money and awareness and help Bipolar UK as a charity to function and continue moving forwards, because you know they really are an underfunded charity and they need as much help as they can get.
James, we wish you well, mate.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And good luck, James. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
James Wade there. So there you go, Bipolar UK. Right, so thanks to Village Hotels, James. It's a great, you know, when you can do that, Gab.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? It's fantastic, isn't it?
Great calls.
And there's so many charities as well, which is...
Of course, there's so many you can help.
When we do a lot for charity and we do lunches and dinners and stuff, I try and pick some local ones as well.
Of course,
You know what I mean? Because it's sometimes the big ones get not so much because there's never enough.
Yes, but you want to spread it around.
Yeah,
100%.
but I didn't realise what James said. I'm glad I asked that question. He said you spend money you shouldn't do.
100%.
You know, and you cause family rifts and stuff. Oh dear.
Highs and lows. Terrible.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.